Did you know that there's a secret dialogue in Cyberpunk where you get to meet Jackie Wells again? It should be one of the game's most emotional moments, a chance to see our partner one last time, but instead, it feels like a horror scene. Jackie is on a rooftop, unaware of our presence, repeating the same lines over and over about hitting the major leagues and finally achieving his ambitions. And that's what makes the scene so tragic. The Jackie we see in front of us behaves like a machine devoid of humanity, stuck in an endless loop dreaming about a better life. The Jackie we knew, the friend and the goofball we learned to love, isn't here anymore, because all that's left of him is a devouring ambition. This scene takes place in cyberspace, when V gains access to Soukiller, a program capable of converting human consciousness into digital form. After Jackie's death, Arasaka attempted to extract what remained of him, but the process came too late. What survived were only fragments of his personality and the strongest emotions he experienced before death. And those fragments tell a sad story. They reveal a man so consumed by the promise of success that, when everything else faded away, ambition was the last thing left standing. The Jackie we meet there is trapped by the dream he spent his life chasing, a dream that promised freedom but ultimately became a prison. As his partner Misty says, Jackie was
a man with dreams, ambitions. Only thing they cost him was his life.
In many ways, Jackie Wells embodies a warning we should listen to, one that teaches us about what it means to spend our lives dreaming big while forgetting what matters most. And it all started with a dream that felt reasonable. Jackie comes from Haywood, one of Night City's most impoverished districts, raised by a single mother who worked herself to the bone just to keep the lights on. He grew up surrounded by gangs and people who never made it out, so for Jackie, ambition was a way to survive. It was a refusal to accept that the life he was born into was a life he deserved. He wanted money and respect, yes, but more than anything, he wanted proof. Proof that someone like him, from a place like that, could escape his social class. In a street kid life path, we meet Jackie when trying to steal the same car as him, but we both get arrested by Detective Stintz, who tells us,
I've always maintained it's the same for all you termites in Haywood. Born here, live here, die here.
That's exactly what Jackie wants to get away from. This feeling that your life is already decided when you come from a low social background, unable to do anything but live and die in the same place you were born. The tragedy is that this hunger for more, which is the very thing that makes Jackie so alive, so magnetic, is also the thing that makes him so vulnerable. To understand why Jackie was doomed long before the heist mission, we can look at a conversation he has with V at the bar's afterlife. During their discussion, V mentions how dying is a small price to pay for going down in history, to which Jackie replies,
Death is nothing but the final flourish.
If you die pursuing your goal, you die for something greater than yourself, cementing your place in history. For Jackie, enjoying life doesn't matter as much as leaving a trace behind and fulfilling his lifelong project. This mindset makes him willing to die for his goal, because his goal has become more important than his life. In this light, Jackie is no longer a subject living in the present. He's a project headed toward the future and only the future. The most disturbing aspect of Jackie's worldview is that many of us share it. The logic guiding his life is not unique to him, it's the same logic many of us live by every day. According to the philosopher Byung-Chul, we, like Jackie and the many citizens of Night City, are victims of achievement society. By achievement society, I mean a society in which people suffer from an internalized pressure to achieve things, to do more, and to be more. This type of society is enticing at first. It offers the freedom to be anyone you want. You want to be successful and earn a lot of money, then get to work, and it will happen. With enough determination and willpower, you can do anything you set your mind to. That's what Jackie believes in. But in his relentless pursuit of success, Jackie stopped being a subject and became a project instead. His life needed to be optimized, maximized, so that he could increase his outputs and climb the social ladder. The irony is that his digital copy captured this aspect of him more than anything else, showing how society's incentive to pursue never-ending achievements alienates those who keep obeying its rules. When V and Jackie are on their way to their biggest mission yet, Jackie marvels at the fact that they're in a luxurious limo and keeps repeating that this is the true life, the one you have when you get to the major leagues. But the moment V expresses some concern over this obsession of his, Jackie says,
It's never, ever been clearer in my whole f***ing life. Let me explain something to you, V. My whole life I've spent in this shit around us. And I ain't going back.
Jackie's resentment toward his upbringing and, as he says, the bleakness around him fuels his determination to the point of self-violence. Notice the anger in his voice and the harsh vocabulary. Jackie refuses to acknowledge how problematic his obsession is, otherwise it would shatter his belief of a better life waiting for him. Hence why he's so confrontational in this moment with V, doubling down on his goals, even if it means losing himself in the process. When that conversation ends and Jackie claims never going back to his former life, notice how he looks away from V, because that last sentence wasn't addressed to V, it was addressed to himself. And we see here how Jackie is responsible for his own torment, as he reminds himself to never go back to the chaos of Haywood. Instead of looking for V as a reassuring presence to help him see things differently, Jackie looks away, cutting himself off from others and choosing to carry the burden alone. Ironically, right after Jackie's tantrum, T-Bug, who's guiding us over the intercom, gives us a quote from Aristotle which goes, "The greatest crimes issue from a desire for excess and not from necessity." Jackie replies that he didn't understand the quote, and we shouldn't be surprised. He's so obsessed with lifting himself to greater heights, like society encourages him to do, that he refuses to acknowledge how his behavior comes from excess and not necessity. As a result, he distances himself from others, that is, from the ones around him who would be happy to share the load. What's more is that his desire to become quote-unquote someone on society's terms prevents him from questioning that society in the first place. For Jackie, you either make it or die trying, and that mindset prevents him from wondering why society pushes people to overachieve and strive to become more than they are. If he had done so, he would have understood that achievement society, whether in our world or the one in Cyberpunk, exerts power over its subjects differently. Megacorporations in Night City always look for more profits, and the best way to get there is not by forcing people to work. The exploitation of others is no longer the most efficient way to produce more. Rather, what produces the most is when people willingly participate in their own exploitation, because they're driven by the desire to achieve their dreams and become ideal versions of themselves. And this is where Cyberpunk stops being a story about a mercenary and starts revealing the logic of its capitalist world. Arasaka developed Soukiller not only to extract and digitize a person's soul, but also to transfer it into another body. From this, they launched what they called the Secure Your Soul program, offering the wealthiest and most influential people in the world a kind of technological immortality. The promise is that for those who achieve enough, they get to live forever, but the horror of it lies in what happens to everyone else. Those who didn't make it, who couldn't secure their soul, don't simply get left behind. Their bodies can now become vessels, resources, containers for the ambitions of the successful. Failure doesn't just exclude you from the system then, it makes you useful to it in a different way entirely, like Jackie, whose soul is trapped in a digital world, even if it's defective, just so that people can interrogate him and extract information. The Secure Your Soul program highlights what achievement society is culminating toward. Life is not valued for itself, only for what it produces, and if you didn't produce enough, then your body and your soul can serve someone who did. Jackie never knew any of this, he never got to make that calculation, but the same system that was built to reward achievement is the same one that captured his soul after his death, and turned the last thing he ever felt into an eternal prison. The cruelty isn't accidental, it's a system working exactly as designed, and Jackie just paid a hefty price for it. Achievement society, however, doesn't come from nowhere. Before the 21st century, society was actually disciplinary. It told people what they should do and forced them to do it. If you worked in a factory, you had to endure repetitive labor in order to survive. As oppressive as this could be, disciplinary society had one advantage. It separated work from private life. You worked because you had to, but your job was not your identity. Once the workday ended, there was still a line separating production from the rest of your life. The purpose of achievement society is to erase that line, Today, we are being told that we can become whoever we want to be. We are encouraged to be entrepreneurs, to work at our own pace, to take control of our destiny. On the surface, this sounds liberating, but that freedom comes with a hidden cost. Think about every time you've pushed yourself to work longer, harder, or better, not because a boss demanded it, but because you demanded it of yourself. That's achievement society at work. Its brilliance is that it no longer needs to force anyone. Instead, people push themselves, they internalize the pressure to succeed, and blame themselves when they fall short. The burden of success no longer belongs to the system, it belongs to the individual, and that's exactly what happened to Jackie. He never questioned why Night City demanded so much from him, he only wondered whether he was doing enough. Every setback became his responsibility, every obstacle became something he had to overcome through greater effort and determination. The result is a mindset that leaves no room for limits, no room for failure, and ultimately, no room for life itself. That's why for Byung-Chul Han, Achievement Society ultimately offers two paths. The first is depression, because those who fail to become more than they are, or who can't produce as much as they believe they should, come to see themselves as inadequate. They never become who they were supposedly meant to be, who they were born to be, so they feel miserable about themselves and their future. The second path is the one Jackie follows, embracing Achievement Society completely and refusing failure, even if it means sacrificing everything else. But Cyberpunk gives us an opportunity to see Jackie in a new light, away from his ambition. One of the most touching moments in Cyberpunk is when we visit Jackie's ofrenda. Family and friends gather around an altar and share some stories about him. It's a touching moment because it shows that, despite his desire to be famous, Jackie didn't matter to many people, just a few, but a few is all you need. When it's V's turn to give a speech and put something on the altar that best represents Jackie, we have several options to choose from, and the best one is a book we can find in his garage from Ernest Hemingway, For Whom the Bell Tolls. Before putting it on the altar, V reads a quote from the book.
When you go to war as a boy, you have a great illusion of immortality. Other people get killed, not you. Then, when you are badly wounded the first time, you lose that illusion.
The quote lands differently once you realize how it depicts why Jackie died. He charged into the heist with that same illusion of immortality the book refers to, with the certainty that ambition and willpower were enough to make him untouchable. But when he got shot, he started to see things differently, even recognizing that the chips were falling. That wound, physical and existential at once, is where the illusion finally breaks. Jackie's torment thus helps us shatter the illusion of Achievement Society, so that we can lift the veil of ambition and finally wake up after spending our lives chasing one dream after another. Now, we acknowledged the problem, but what's the solution to this never-ending cycle of overproductivity and self-exploitation? How can we avoid repeating the same mistakes as Jackie did? In her book The Human Condition, Hannah Arendt talks about contemplative life and active life to explain the evolution of humankind in Western societies. Active life refers to modernity, to our contemporary life in which we lost our capacity to contemplate. That is, our capacity to pause, to delay things, to take time and not act impulsively. That capacity to pause and reflect, to slow things down, is something neither machines nor the most dedicated employees possess. Think about it. The people who are usually considered as the best employees in a company are the ones who never take a break, who don't take sick days or don't go on vacations. They are being praised for their commitment to their work and for constantly staying active. For Arendt, however, this hyperactivity hides a hyperpassivity, because hyperactive people often obey without resistance and lose their capacity to take distance from themselves. Without that distance, without that pause contemplation provides, people like Jackie end up mentally exhausted, which in turn pushes them to act impulsively and give themselves to Achievement Society. In modern life, action has taken precedence over contemplation, since we think that actions give us freedom. But it bears repeating. The freedom to produce more isn't freedom. It's compliance to a system that subtly exploits people without forcing them. Jackie isn't more free because he's very active and accepts high-risk missions. In fact, he surrenders to economic imperatives that have been decided for him by others. making his life meaningless. Misty, however, provides a beautiful counterpoint to this, as she embodies what contemplation means. In the secret ending that came with the DLC Phantom Liberty, we get to meet her 2 years after V undergoes surgery and removes the biochip in their head. Upon seeing her, she tells us her favorite store was burned, so she decided to leave Night City and try her luck elsewhere. And that's it. Notice how her departure isn't bombastic, rather, she leaves peacefully, after having thought about it for some time. She doesn't go in a rush. She doesn't leave impulsively or out of spite for what happened to her and the people around her. She approaches her situation with calm. It doesn't make things easier, but she remains clear-headed when needed be. As such, leaving Night City isn't admitting failure because Jackie died, or because her career didn't take off. Instead of staying in the city and grinding her life away, she recognizes that she needs something else, somewhere else. In other words, Misty reclaims her freedom by refusing to stay stubborn. It's her capacity to stand back, reassess, and stay away from the illusions of Night City that grants her a chance at a better life. And that takes courage, the type of courage most citizens in Night City no longer have. There's a bit of Jackie in all of us. Like him, we live in an achievement society, and like him, we can't help but feel the pressure of hyperproductivity and a desire to be greater than we are. Jackie's stubbornness isn't his fault. He grew up in a system in which he was suffering from having to overachieve, but he was also the one putting pressure on himself to achieve more. To put it differently, Jackie was both the victim and the perpetrator. Achievement society doesn't need to control anyone. All it does is give you freedom. Either you seize it and use it to become someone, or you don't and become no one, and that's on you. It may seem that society didn't do anything wrong, because at the end of the day, you're the one deciding to exploit yourself. But consider how all the models of a successful and fulfilling life are people who embrace that mindset and worked to achieve their quote-unquote dreams, even though that promise conceals a darker truth. That's what I love the most about Cyberpunk. It doesn't shy away from showing reality, that is, from showing the fall after the dream, and what it means to chase a life you'll never have. Jackie never had a chance in the first place, and even if he had had that chance and found the success he craved, that wouldn't change much. His happiness wasn't there. It was with Misty, with us, with his mom, and all the people close to him. He just couldn't see them as his true ambition, and that blindness was his downfall. I like to think that Jackie's last moment with us in cyberspace is also a moment of reflection and contemplation for him. Because while he does repeat his speech about making it to the big leagues, he also repeats something else I didn't mention until now.
Misty knew. Misty always knows.
That's the same sentence he also says right before dying in front of me, but here, in this context, it brings to light how Misty was right about the heist being a bad idea, but also how her choice to live a quieter, more humble life away from success and achievement is a kind of knowledge worth holding on to. When CD Projekt released the anniversary trailer celebrating the 5th year of the game, I took it as an homage to Jackie and the other characters of the game. We see V mention yet again the desire to become a legend, but the best part of the trailer is when characters get back together, especially when Jackie reunites with V, hugs them, and takes a moment to talk. That trailer and the emotion it brings makes us realize that this reunion is what matters most, and what we remember after playing the game. I've played Cyberpunk for countless hours, and I barely remember the action sequences or the countless gunfights I got into. But I remember Panam's storyline, Judy's, Evelyn's, Johnny's, Jackie's, and so many other characters who are the reason why that game made it to the big leagues. Jackie aimed to be a legend and failed. Night City carried on like always, without a care in the world, for small people who tried their chances. But looking at the trailer, Jackie might have become a legend despite failing. He certainly didn't become a legend in Night City's history books, or on the balance sheets of its megacorporations. No, Jackie mattered to the few people who loved him for who he truly was. No success is greater than in the eyes of those who care, and that's us. His struggle to climb the highest mountain serves as a warning. To go high and far is great, but when the next mountaintop is always around the corner, when we already think about the next mountain to climb, when we have yet to finish climbing the one we're on, then perhaps the wiser choice is to step back, sit down, and remember that the happiness we keep searching for isn't in whatever comes next, but in what's already right there, next to us. Thank you for commemorating Jackie with me. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing, liking, and commenting. I'll see you in the next one.